There's a kind of loneliness that's hard to explain. It's that feeling of being surrounded by people, but still feeling completely invisible. Like you're a ghost walking among the living, watching a world you've never truly managed to belong to. Maybe you grew up being that kid who asked too many questions, who felt too much, who thought too much. While others seemed to navigate life with a natural ease, you always wondered if there was something fundamentally wrong with you, like you were programmed with a different code, an operating system that just wasn't compatible with the rest of the world. Have you ever caught yourself faking interest in empty conversations, smiling when inside you felt an unexplainable emptiness? Trying to fit into groups where your soul was screaming that this wasn't your place? If you're feeling a tightness in your chest right now, if something inside you is whispering, "Finally, someone gets it," then keep watching, because what I'm about to share with you could completely change how you see your own existence. And before you think you're alone on this journey, let me tell you something. You're not broken. You never were. In fact, what you've always interpreted as your greatest weakness might be exactly what the world needs most from you. If this is touching your soul, leave a like so I know you're here. Subscribe to the channel for more content that speaks directly to your heart. And in the comments, tell me, what was the moment in your life when you felt the most different from others? You were the one who, since you were little, picked up on energies that others didn't even notice. You'd walk into a room and immediately know if there was tension in the air, if someone was sad, if something wasn't being said. While your classmates played without a care, you observed the adults with an intensity that made them uncomfortable. You were the one who cried at movies others found silly, who got emotional over songs in a way that seemed over the top to those around you. Your feelings were always too much. Too much joy, too much sadness, too much compassion, as if you were born without the filter that everyone else apparently had. In school, you were the weird one, not because you were aggressive or a troublemaker, but because you just didn't fit in. You preferred the company of books to people your own age. You made friends with teachers more easily than with your classmates. You had interests that no one else shared, thoughts that no one else understood. And as you grew up, you learned to wear masks. You developed different personas for different situations. You became a social chameleon, changing your colors depending on the environment. But behind every mask, there was always that persistent feeling of playing a role that wasn't truly yours. You became an expert at reading people, at giving them exactly what they expected from you. But the more perfect you became at this performance, the emptier you felt inside, as if you were drifting further and further away from who you really were, to the point of not even remembering your true identity anymore. But what if I told you that everything you've always seen as a flaw is actually a sign? A sign that you didn't come here to be just another face in the crowd, but to be exactly who you are. Think about it with me. A person who feels everything so deeply, who notices nuances others don't see, who questions what everyone else accepts without thinking. Is that person broken, or are they operating on a different frequency? Are they defective, or are they tuned into something that most people can't pick up on yet? Your hypersensitivity, which has always been a source of shame, is actually a highly sophisticated emotional radar. Your difficulty fitting in isn't a sign of inadequacy. It's a sign that you were designed for something bigger than just following the herd. Your need for depth in conversations and relationships isn't being too demanding. It's a genuine thirst for authentic connections in an increasingly superficial world. That constant feeling of being an outsider, it's because you literally are one. You're not a fish trying to fly. You're a bird that has spent its whole life trying to swim. And now it's time to stop blaming yourself for not being able to breathe underwater. The world tried to convince you that there was something wrong with you because your light was different from others' light. But different kinds of light illuminate different kinds of darkness. Your light was never designed to light up the same corners as the others. It was created to reach places where no other light can go. Your difference isn't a bug in your system. It's your most important feature, your greatest strength, your most precious gift. to a world that desperately needs someone like you. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists in human history, spent decades studying people exactly like you. He called this process you're going through individuation, the courageous path of becoming who you truly are, instead of who the world expects you to be. Jung observed that there is a specific type of person he called the wounded healer. These are people who, precisely because they have experienced deeper pain and a more acute sensitivity, develop a unique ability to understand and help others going through similar situations. Your wound becomes your medicine. He discovered that the greatest visionaries, artists, healers, and spiritual leaders of humanity shared a common trait. They all felt like outsiders in their communities. They all carried that feeling of not belonging that you know so well. But instead of letting it diminish them, they used that difference as fuel to create, to heal, to awaken. Jung wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." You've always been irritated by the world's superficiality because your soul cries out for depth. You've always felt uncomfortable with social lies because your essence seeks truth. You've always pulled away from groups because your nature is that of a leader, not a follower. For Jung, this journey of self-discovery isn't optional for people like you. It's a calling. It's your psychological destiny. You can try to ignore it, you can try to fit in, you can try to be normal. But your soul will never find peace until you completely embrace who you really are. And who are you, really? Jung would say you are an agent of transformation disguised as an ordinary person, a catalyst for change who hasn't yet fully discovered their own power. Your journey began long before you realized you were on one. It began in that moment in childhood when you looked around and felt for the first time that you didn't belong where you were born. Not physically, but spiritually. As if your soul had come from somewhere else and was still trying to adapt to this world. The first stage was confusion. You didn't understand why you felt different, why the things that excited others seemed empty to you, why you needed so much time alone to process what was happening around. It was like you were a computer trying to run incompatible software, always crashing, always failing. Then came the stage of denial. You decided the problem was you, that you needed to fix yourself. You spent years trying to mold yourself, trying to fit in, creating fake versions of yourself for every situation. You became such a convincing actor that even you forgot where the performance ended and the real person began. The third stage was silent desperation. That moment when you realized that, no matter how hard you tried, you would never be truly accepted for who you were. The mask had been glued to your face for so long that you didn't know how to take it off anymore. And the loneliness, oh, the loneliness was deafening. But then something changed. Maybe it was a conversation, a book, an experience that made you question everything. You started to consider a radical possibility. What if the problem wasn't you? What if you weren't the one who needed to change, but rather your perspective on who you are? And now you're here, on the threshold of transformation. Ready to discover that your journey as an outsider wasn't a detour. It was the exact path you needed to walk to become who you were always meant to be. There's a name for what you are, and when you find out what it is, everything will make sense. Jung identified several archetypes, universal patterns of personality, and you'll probably recognize yourself deeply in one of them. Maybe you are the hermit, the one who needs to withdraw from the world to find inner wisdom. You've always known that your best ideas came in moments of solitude, that your energy was renewed away from the crowds. You're not antisocial. You simply operate on a frequency that needs space to be picked up clearly. Or maybe you are the wounded healer, the one who transforms their own pain into medicine for others. You have an almost supernatural ability to understand the suffering of others because you are intimately familiar with the abysses of the human soul. Your excessive sensitivity isn't a weakness, it's your most powerful tool. You could be the visionary, the one who sees possibilities where others see impossibilities. You were always the dreamer of the family, the one with crazy ideas, the one who believed in things others considered fantasy. But visionaries have always been misunderstood in their time. They see the future before others are ready for it. Or you are the gatekeeper, the one who moves between worlds, who can translate the profound for the superficial, the spiritual for the practical. You've always been the person others came to when they needed deep advice, when they were in an existential crisis, when they needed someone who truly understood. Each of these archetypes carries a specific purpose, a unique function in the grand scheme of human existence. You are not an ordinary person trying to be special. You are a special person who has spent your life trying to be ordinary. All that pain you've carried, all that feeling of rejection, of not belonging, of being too different, it wasn't in vain. In fact, it was absolutely necessary. Because without it, you would never have developed the depth you have today. Think of the purest waters in the world. They come from the depths of the earth, purified by pressure and time. Your soul has been through the same process. The pressure of feeling different, the time spent questioning your place in the world, all of it was purifying something inside you that can now offer the world a unique quality of wisdom. Those nights you stayed awake wondering what was wrong with you, you were actually doing the most important work there is, the work of self-knowledge. While others slept peacefully in their superficial certainties, you were digging deep into questions most people didn't even consider. Your hypersensitivity, which caused so much suffering, is also responsible for your ability to pick up on emotional nuances that others miss. Your difficulty fitting in forced you to develop an authenticity that is rare in this world of social masks. Your sense of loneliness taught you to find companionship within yourself. The world rejected you not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too different. And that difference, that unique quality you carry, is exactly what some people around you are desperately looking for, even without knowing it. You were forged in the fire of difference to become a beacon for others who also feel lost in the darkness of conformity. Your pain wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. Preparation for a purpose you are just beginning to understand. The time has come for a liberating truth. You don't need anyone's validation to be real. You don't need to prove your worth to a world that was never able to measure your true dimension. You don't need to fit into boxes that were created by people who can't even see your complexity. For years you looked for acceptance in the wrong places. You tried to find your reflection in the eyes of people who couldn't even see beyond their own limitations. It was like trying to see yourself in a broken mirror and blaming yourself for the distorted image. The problem was never you. The problem was that you were using completely inadequate measuring tools to assess your true nature. Genuine acceptance begins when you stop trying to be understood by those who don't have the capacity to understand. When you stop explaining your depth to those who live on the surface. When you finally understand that your difference is not a flaw to be corrected, but a feature to be celebrated. Imagine a diamond trying to compare itself to common stones. The diamond might even think there's something wrong with it because it reflects light differently, because it's harder, because it has a unique structure. But the truth is, the diamond was not made to be a common stone. It was formed under extreme pressure to be exactly what it is, rare, valuable, unique. You've spent so much time dimming your light so as not to bother others that you forgot the transformative power it has. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, it's your superpower. Your need for depth is not being too demanding, it's your natural way of connecting with the world. Your difficulty in accepting superficiality is not a social problem, it's spiritual integrity. When you finally accept yourself completely, something magical happens. You stop attracting people and situations that are not aligned with your true frequency. It's as if the universe can finally give you what you truly deserve because you've stopped settling for crumbs. Acceptance is not resignation. It's recognition. It's looking at yourself and saying, I am exactly who I need to be, the way I need to be, at the moment I need to be. It's realizing that your unique journey, with all its quirks, was specifically designed to prepare you for something only you can do. And when you reach this place of deep self-acceptance, you become a living example for all those who are still fighting their own nature. You become proof that it's possible to be different and be happy, that it's possible to be authentic and be loved, that it's possible to be unique and have a purpose. Now we get to the heart of it all. You are not here by chance. your difference, your sensitivity, your unique journey as an outsider, all of it was carefully orchestrated for a greater purpose that you are just beginning to glimpse. Think about it with me. In an increasingly superficial world, someone needs to safeguard depth. In a society that's more and more disconnected from itself, someone needs to remind people of who they really are. In an age of social masks and constant performances, someone needs to be an example of radical authenticity. That someone is you. You didn't come here to conform. You came here to awaken, not just yourself, but to serve as a catalyst for the awakening of others. Your journey of self-discovery is not a selfish personal project. It's a service to humanity. Every time you choose to be authentic instead of convenient, you give others permission to do the same. Every time you honor your sensitivity instead of suppressing it, you create a safe space for others to honor theirs too. Every time you choose depth over superficiality, you raise the vibrational standard of everyone around you. Your mission isn't grand in the traditional sense. You don't have to save the whole world. Your mission is to be a lighthouse. It's to be that person that other people see and think, if she can be true to herself, maybe I can too. It's to be the living example that there's an alternative to living on autopilot. How many times has someone said to you, "You're different," in a good way? How many times have people opened up to you in ways they don't with other people? How many times have you been sought out when someone was going through a deep existential crisis? That's not a coincidence. That's you fulfilling your natural function. You are a translator between worlds. You can take complex, deep concepts and make them accessible to people who are just starting to awaken. You are a bridge between the spiritual world and the practical world, between the unconscious and the conscious, between who people are and who they can become. Your responsibility isn't to carry the weight of transforming everyone. Your responsibility is to simply be yourself in your purest essence. Because when you do that, you automatically become an agent of transformation. Your authenticity is contagious. Your depth is inspiring. Your journey of self-discovery is a map for others who are lost in the same territory. The world is full of people, of social chameleons, of people who have lost touch with their true essence. But there is a growing thirst for authenticity, for depth, and for real connections. And you, with your naturally authentic and deep nature, are exactly what those people are looking for. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to be real. Because in a world of fake people, one genuine person is revolutionary. In a society of superficial relationships, someone who connects deeply is transformational. In a culture of hurry and anxiety, someone who lives with presence and awareness is healing. Your mission is simple. Be who you are, without apologies, without masks, without trying to fit where you don't belong. And trust that by doing so, you will be serving a purpose much greater than anything you could consciously plan. And now we reach the end of this journey together, but in reality, we're just at the beginning of your true journey. Because now you have a choice to make. A choice that will define not only how you live your life, but how you impact the world around you. You can go back to your old ways, you can put the masks back on, try to fit in again, pretend this conversation never happened. You can continue to betray yourself to please a world that was never able to truly value you. That's an option, and I won't lie to you. Sometimes it seems like the easier path. Or you can make a radical decision. You can look in the mirror and say, I was never supposed to fit in. I was supposed to remember. Remember who you are. Remember your purpose. Remember that your difference isn't a bug in the system, but your most important feature. From today on, every time you feel tempted to dim your light so you don't outshine others, remember, the world needs your light. Every time you feel weird for being deep in a shallow conversation, remember, someone there needs that depth. Every time you feel alone for being different, remember, you were never alone, you were just walking ahead of the others. Your authenticity is not optional. It is your contribution to a world that is desperately thirsty for real people. Your sensitivity is not your problem. It is your gift to a humanity that has forgotten how to feel. Your unique journey is not a detour from the path. It is the exact path you needed to walk to become who the world needs you to be. I challenge you, for the next 30 days, Practice being irrevocably yourself. Don't try to fit in. Don't try to please. Don't try to be normal. Be deep when you want to be deep. Be sensitive when your sensitivity shows up. Be different because you are different. And watch what happens. Watch how the right people start to show up in your life. Watch how opportunities aligned with your true nature begin to emerge. Watch how you feel when you stop fighting against who you are and start building your life around who you are. You are not an accident. You are not a mistake. You are not someone who needs to be fixed. You are exactly who this world needs, the way it needs you, at the moment it needs you. Subscribe to the channel and leave your like to get access to more stories like this. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to stop trying to fit in and start remembering? What's the first step you'll take today to honor your true nature? And if this video touched your soul, share it with someone who also needs to hear this message. Because sometimes, all a person needs is to know that they're not alone on this journey. Remember, you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to remember. And now it's time to begin.